Thanks for checking out this movie review video. This is for the 2022 film Terrifier 2, and I'm going to say a few things off the top. One, I was lucky enough to see this at a drive-in theater, which everything looks better at the drive-in, personally. It's the ambiance. I love drive-in theater. Plus, just seeing something on a big screen is amazing, and that is a huge screen at a drive-in, and I love it. So I was very lucky in that respect. Another thing I want to say is I wasn't as jazzed on this film as a lot of people are, but I want to say that doesn't mean that I'm not happy that it's doing well and that people are really liking it. I'm very happy that it's doing well in the theaters. I mean, this was like an $800,000 around there budget film, and it's making millions. That's awesome. That is a win for everyone in the horror community, because when horror films are doing well in the box office, my apologies, it means that we are going to keep getting more horror films, and I expect that we're going to get a Terrifier 3. So, all that said, I'm going to lay out what I liked about the film, what I didn't like about the film, and then my review in the end. So, let's get to it. Written and directed by Damien Leone. I don't know if it's Leone. I'm going to go with Leone because it just makes me think of Sergio Leone. But Damien Leone, who also did All Hallows Eve, which obviously features Art the Clown, the original Terrifier, and Frankenstein versus the Mummy, which I have not seen. And I also haven't seen All Hallows Eve. I need to see that. I liked the first Terrifier for what it was, like super low budget, and was very pleased with the practical effects, obviously. You know, everyone talks about that bisection scene. Phenomenal. Like, I was like kind of shocked that a low budget film would do that, and I was just like, wow. So that set my expectations for the gore levels and the kills pretty high for this film. When it came to that, I don't think it disappointed. If you're looking for a film that is all about the gore, all about the kills, and going too far for what some people would consider, I was totally fine with it. It made it more fun for me. This is the film for you. Now, if you're someone who doesn't want to sit through almost 2.5 hours for that with a story that is almost not there, I can understand that too. That was kind of more my situation, where I'm glad I've seen the film, but the pacing is so off to me because it seems like the filmmaker just went off on all these tangents instead of sticking to the core of what the film really is about, which is Art the Clown. You know, obviously we get a good amount of Art the Clown. We get a lot of satisfying stuff with Art the Clown, but the pacing had a lot of problems to it, and the script really needed to be tightened up. I think this film could easily have 45 minutes cut out of it, to be honest. It kind of makes me want a reverse director's cut. I guess you call it like a studio cut, because the studios are the ones who cut it back more. Yeah, it just needs cut down for me. But like I said, you know, I'm sure there are people out there who are enjoying it just the way it is, and that's awesome. This is just my opinion. Leone has said that the character of Sienna in this, who is the main character, other than Art, obviously, is someone he's been working on for actually more than a decade, been trying to bring that person to the screen. That's cool to hear for him, because, you know, when you're trying to, like, creatively get something done and it just keeps not happening, I'm sure it's really awesome to kind of see them on the screen eventually. Pretty interesting enough character. I don't think there was enough story for that character, honestly, for me to like really connect with the character. But I think it's also this issue where you're already connecting with Art the Clown from the first film, because there really wasn't much story other than this creepy clown killing people. So that's kind of what you end up expecting for the second film. And Leone's trying to do like some actual story elements to it. So for that reason, like, your expectation versus what it is feels a little bit disconnected. So be more open-minded about it, I guess. The film actually ended up being delayed due to the pandemic. But apparently Leone spent that time working on the kills. Making them gorier, making them more elaborate, going further with them. So, in a sense, I think the pandemic was good for this film, because you got crazier kills, you got gorier kills, and obviously that's where this film shines. That and Art the Clown's performance. I put his name in here, Thornton Howard, I believe it's in here. So, David Howard Thornton. Does an amazing job as Art the Clown. And that's a hard role, because it's no speaking. I mean, just think about how hard it is to emote with just expression and, you know, gesturing. And I think he embodies that character. I also have to say that it is hard to create an iconic killer in horror nowadays, because there are so many that have come before as being iconic that people are always going to make this comparison. It's hard to like create one that's like really good. As far as like modern iconic villains, Victor Crowley, they did a good job there, and I think Art the Clown has done a really good job. It just caught on. It's a great character. It's a creepy character. It's a scary character to certain degrees. So nice work on that. I'm not going to give much of a synopsis because it's really just an Art the Clown with some story. If you've seen the first Terrifier, you know what to expect in some regards. But like I said, they tried to do some more story stuff. And some of it I think is cool and pays off, and some of it I think just really does not work, honestly. But, we'll see where things go for Terrifier 3, because, mark my words, there's going to be one. With this success, there's going to be one, and I'm good with that. The beginning of the film is all about saying Art the Clown is back and ready to pick up where he left off. I got amped seeing the opening scene of this film, because it throws you right into it. It's like, here's Art the Clown. This is what you've been waiting for. There's a really good, intense, over-the-top, gory, splatter-filled kill. And you're like, yes, this is what I'm here for. It sets a great tone, and it gets you excited. Now, my problem came with coming down off of that excitement as the film tends to drag and stretch on a lot. If it was cut down a bunch, this film could be super tight. It could have so much energy, amazing flow, and just be really, really, really good. But it's bloated. As I saw someone say about the film Halloween Ends online, it's a bloated script, and it really needed another eye or a few other eyes on it to cut that down. Like I said, the first kill is unflinching, and it goes further than most people would actually expect. And almost all subsequent kills are satisfyingly brutal and gory, just like that first one. I think there's like one or two kills that actually happen off screen, which I was kind of surprised by. But that's fine, because you get plenty of kills that are unflinching, brutal, gory, fun. Nice. There's an interesting look into the mind of Art the Clown for a little bit in the beginning. It's the second scene that comes into the film, which I loved. Like, the first scene I really liked. The second scene I really liked. And it set me up for an expectation that maybe they were going to go in a very interesting direction of, like, really delving into the mind of Art the Clown and kind of, like, maybe getting into a little bit of backstory. And then they didn't do that, unfortunately. There is a new character introduced in that second scene in the beginning that I think is extremely effective, is very interesting, opened a lot of possibilities, and I hope they use that character more in the third film, the third Terrifier, because I know All Hallows Eve is like the first Art the Clown one, but I hope they use that character more. I think they should have used that character more in this one, because I don't want to say too much about it, because I don't want to like tip the hand, because it's a very interesting aspect. That was probably my favorite story aspect of this film. The beginning music is very 80s. Love it, love it, love it. Not all the music is that way. They kind of hit a range of styles, which I think is cool, but I just love the feel of that super 80s song in the very beginning of the film. Love it. There's something they make a point of really showing in the beginning of the film that is going to have to come into play big time at the end of the film because of how much focus they put on it. And then they really do keep throwing it in your face numerous times during the film. I think it gets very excessive. I think it would have actually been better if it's just kind of shown very briefly once, maybe talked about, and then you don't see it again until the end. Because reminding people constantly of that is giving them more opportunity to be like, oh, well, I know exactly what's going to happen with this. So it's better to do less in that respect, in my opinion. You can tell pretty early they're going for a lot more actual story than the first one. Yes, there is a lot more actual story than the first one, because there wasn't really much of any story for the first one. But that said, there really isn't that much story for this one either, which is one of the reasons that the almost 2.5-hour runtime doesn't work for it, because you need to be telling stories, or it needs to be an insane go gore fest, like something like Dead Alive, which I don't even think that wasn't even 2 hours, I don't think, but I'm saying it has to have that type of like pacing and craziness in it to like really hold attention for me. It's shot pretty well. It's obvious that Damien Leone's strengths are gore scenes, coming up with gory, brutal kills, creating Art the Clown, who's becoming iconic, and shooting, like filming, cinematography, directing. Those are the strengths. Script writing, I don't think it's a big strength. Does he do a terrible job at script writing? No, not a terrible job, but for me, not great. And I'll kind of comment on something related to that at the end. There's a pretty fun feeling to the film early on, and it has some overt humor that's thrown in. Obviously, a lot of the humor has to do with Art the Clown himself, but there's also a character named Brooke, who's played really pretty well in this film, and she's pretty fun. She injects some pretty fun moments to the film. So there's a little humor there. There's humor with Art the Clown, and that's one of the things I love about Art the Clown, is it's not just all scary, intense, creepy. You get that, but then you get these like cracks of like awkwardness and humor, and it keeps things fun, in my opinion. But a lot of kind of like that upbeat feel and the fun gets lost as the film starts to feel like it's dragging and the pacing is suffering. There are character interactions that go on way too long, and it's like the filmmaker goes off on tangents and kind of forgets about getting back to the core of what the film is about. It's weird because it's kind of like the filmmaker saw something in certain character interactions that maybe they weren't scripted, maybe they improv'd it a little bit, and he was like, ooh, I kind of actually like that interaction, but it doesn't really add anything to the film, and it actually kind of detracts and slows things down, because there are a bunch of those character interactions where you're like, why does this matter to the film? And it doesn't, and it's like you're wasting time, you know. Just my thoughts. The ending gets really drawn out. And I have seen other people comment on this online saying there are like 3 separate times towards the end of the film that it could have stopped. And the fact that it just keeps going and going and going tells you that most likely it's not going to have that super satisfying finish to it. And for me, it didn't, because I was just like, oh, okay, here comes the ending. Oh, we're still going. Okay. And then they don't have it seem like it's going to end again on anything bigger than the first thing. You know what I mean? Like, the impact's just not there. It's too drawn out. It is way too drawn out for me. For plenty of people, the ending will feel satisfying in a certain way. But that's kind of tied into something that's done in film a lot that I don't really connect with anymore, so it may just be like a personal thing, where it just doesn't do it for me because it's been done in film so much, and it just does not scratch the itch for me. There's a mid-credit scene, so don't leave as soon as the credits start rolling. But much like a bunch of other scenes, it's way too drawn out. For a mid or post-credit scene, you don't want them to be super long. They want to be like a punch, basically. You want to sting people. You want to hit them real quick with something that they're just like, ooh, as like something intriguing to set up for the next film, which, you know, maybe that's what it is. Or something that's just kind of like shocking or crazy, which maybe that's what it is. Or maybe it's both of those things. I don't want to let you know. So the acting ranges in this film from quite good, obviously David Howard Thornton as Art the Clown, to not good. There's one performance in particular, I don't want to call it out because I don't want to be that negative, that I thought was really not good. And there's in between, you know, but Art the Clown does a great job, and that's very important. The person who played Sienna did a good job. People who are very important characters for the most part did at least solid. So yeah, also want to do a shout out to Amelie McLean, who did very well in her role. Very effective. And I'm not going to say anything further than that, because I don't want to ruin something about the film. There is no reason for this to be over 2 hours long. There really isn't. For me. You know, there will be plenty of people who see it at this runtime and are just like, it's everything I wanted. And I love that for you. That's awesome. But for me, how I experience films, there's no reason for it to be this long. I cannot find these films scary because of the joyful and kind of funny nature of Art the Clown as he dispatches people. And that's not a bad thing. I love that about Art the Clown as a character. Like, I love that I can see something so messed up, so brutal, so gory, so over the top, and view it as fun and kind of funny and joyful. That's what it's all about with horror films for me, from like a splatter side. Yeah, I love that aspect of it. And for the people having a hard time watching this because of the kills and throwing up in the theater or passing out in the theater, I'd like to show you the film High Tension. Because where Terrifier 2 has actual moments of kind of humor and levity, High Tension is very brutal, very gory, and over the top, and has none of that. So I bet those people would throw up and pass out during that film too. I would like to know how many gallons of blood were used in this film. Lots and lots. And I think just like hearing a figure would be pretty cool. So if anyone has found that information online, please put it in the comments. Just for my own curiosity, I want to know how much blood was used. And this is my final comment on it. For Terrifier 3, I recommend taking on a writing partner, or paying someone else to write the script altogether, or at least having someone read the script to edit it down. Just saying. I think that what Damien Leone does well, Damien Leone does really well. And I love that. And I think there's a future for this individual. And I hope he keeps making film, and I will keep watching it. That said, I don't think script writing is his strength. And I think maybe bringing on a writing partner would be a good idea. Could help you out, or, you know, bouncing ideas off people, or bouncing the whole script off people to be like, hey, you know, could you look at this and tell me what you think needs edited down for good pacing? Whatever, you know. You can't do everything, you know, and maybe you shouldn't, because that's a lot of work, to be honest. But anyway, out of 5 stars with half stars in play, I'm going to give it a 2.5 star rating. I am very much in the middle with this film. If it wasn't for the pacing issue and it being so long when there's not that much story to it, I would have gone with a 3.5, but those issues dropped it all the way down to a 2.5. And honestly, I even considered going a 2, but I think that the kills are so well done and some of the performances are so good that I'm going 2.5. So I'm pretty in the middle on it, but I want to hear what everyone else thinks about this film. We can do spoilers in the comments, so go ahead and put your comment down here. Tell me what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, if you're in between on the film, whatever. And, you know, I love hearing other opinions, especially from people who loved it. Really want to hear that, because I didn't. So I just want to experience, you know, what did you see in it? What really did it for you? So go ahead and do comments. Do me a quick favor, hit subscribe to this channel if you can. And you can. It's quick, painless, costs you nothing, and it makes me very happy. It's literally the best way to repay me if you like any video I've ever done. And it's, you know, it's not a big deal, you know, come on. And also hit the notification bell button for me if you can, and then you'll know when I'm putting up new videos. And if you watch those videos pretty soon after they go up, it helps them get traction and blah, blah, blah. So you can help me out that way. But regardless, thank you everyone for checking out this video, and until next time, keep it brutal.